Welcome back. This is all terribly exciting. What's in the box? It's a climatic revelator. I've sold one to a very nice person in America, North America. So I'm packaging it up. It's something that I was completely oblivious of when I started designing these things. Actually how to get something that's fairly fragile somewhere across the other side of the world. So I've got a nice big cardboard box. I've screwed this down from the back using 4 screws and washers, and there's a piece of plywood stuck on the back to reinforce it. Focus! So that's good, and that holds it in place inside this box, which is got nothing else in it. It's just empty, it's air. I've packaged all this with the foam to hold it and support everything. I'm going to put the cable down here with some cable ties, and then, dear friends, that box goes into this box, an even bigger one, like Russian dolls. This box, however, is about 5 centimetres or 2 inches gap all round, which I'm then going to dutifully fill with biodegradable void fill. Never knew it was called that, but that's what it's called. I've used it lots on the Net Throbwell kits just to fill in the space in the boxes. Very good stuff. And the idea of that being that if the box gets dropped in transit or kicked or whatever, then the beads, the void fill, absorb the sudden shock and cushion the precious cargo within. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. How exciting. It's now perfectly fixed, really solidly inside. I've got the wire and bits, cable clips to hold it all in place. Fantastic. These things are just to stop these flaps. Do they? I don't know what they do actually. Oh no, the end flaps from going too low, that's right, and possibly folding in and hitting it. I'll get it all together. Goodbye, number 8. Farewell on your travels. Hopefully you will get there safely. Etc, etc, etc. Got the instructions printed out. Let's get it all taped up. Can't have too much tape. Look at that. All packed up and ready to go. How exciting. It's all systems go. It's incredible. I've got the 3D printer 3D printing more kits for the gauges, really exciting. And I've just had an order for an assembled but not working Net Throbwell. It's for your use in displaying in a themed public house. So that's very exciting. I haven't done that before, so I'm cutting those bits out. And having sold a climatic revelator a couple of days ago, yesterday, a very nice gentleman in America has ordered a Barometric Prognosticator III. So I'm going to start making that today. I very rapidly got overexcited yesterday when I received the order and started ordering all the bits. And it's amazing, I ordered this probably 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon, and it's this morning. And it's arrived. It's 3 of the... I'll show you, hang on. It's 3 of these. I'm going to make 2 barometric prognosticators so I can have one in stock, which is useful because it's so much quicker when you've got everything set up to do everything twice rather than once. These are the, what do you call it? Well, 3 watt warm white LEDs, and they're fantastic, even more fantastic because they've got a built-in transistor on the board, so you can control this directly from something like an Arduino, and I use these to illuminate the barometric prognosticators. It's amazing. Ordered yesterday and they've arrived this morning. Incredible. By the way, they're from Flux Workshop. No affiliation, but they do sell some lovely stuff. Luckily, I cut out and engraved too many bits when I was making the 14 Net Throbwell kit, so I've got just enough bits left over to make this mock one. So that's good. I'll quickly get on with that now. Look, we've got bits of wood. Several pieces of wood actually. There's this big bit, which is 12mm ply, which makes a very good solid base for the barometric prognosticator, and he's cut to the right size, nice and square. And we've got these bits, the twiddly bits to go around the edge. And the way I've done it, they're really warped, so I've had to sand the back of them. And the way I do it, my favourite way, is to cut them over size. So for example, this bit is going to be for that size. You can see it overhangs far longer than necessary, and then I sand a mitre onto one end, and then I'll line that up. Ooh, it stands up. Put a little pencil mark down here, and then sand this end down after roughly cutting it in place, and it works really well. It makes allowances for slight differences and variations. I've tried marking it all out and then cutting it, and invariably it doesn't quite fit. Also, the fact is, with mitre joints you can get a sort of cumulative error. If there's ever such a slight difference in one corner, by the time you reach the distant corner it's all over the shop. So that's exciting. What I'm going to do now is get these fixed together. So next step, slight improvements as well. I've decided with these ones to reinforce, put blocks on the corners. I've cut this wood down on the circular, the bench saw, so it's just the right height, so the edge will be overlapping and allow a sheet of ply to go across the back to hide all the works. And I'm just gluing them on with lovely PVA, waterproof PVA. Another great use for the V-blocks. I'm not pinning these or anything, it's not necessary. It's perfect. You just do that, it lines it up. Possibly do that, it lines it up. Fantastic things, 1,000 uses around the home and garden. Here's a cunning plan. So the next day, these are nice and dry. To get it all lined up with this, with room on the back for a piece of ply, I've just cut out 4 little bits of ply and stuck them on the back with masking tape. So much easier to line things up when you don't have to use a ruler and try and line them. Now when I sit this here, it means there's the gap at the back, so if I then fix these on with it resting flat against the table, that will line up perfectly, hopefully. Right, I'll get on with that and get back to you all. To fix these onto place, I'm going to put some glue very subtly or carefully along a thin bead of it, so when I nail this together it doesn't all squeeze out, because the wood stain will not go onto PVA glue. So I need to be very careful with that, at least on the outside edges and the ends. I'm going to hold it into place with some really fine panel pins, and I've clamped a piece of wood to the end of the bench here, so I've got something to hammer against. I've got these two lined up. It's always so tricky with mitre joints. I've got these two lined up, so I'm going to put this one on first. Once I've got one bit done and I know this is the right length, then I can work round and it's much quicker. Oh, little top tip with panel pins. If you put it really near the end of a piece of wood, it can split it, because obviously the point just forces its way through. If you don't want that to happen, it doesn't sound very likely, but it works brilliantly. Use a pair of pincers or something to cut the end of the pin off, the pointy bit, so it's blunt. Then you can go right up to the end with a piece of wood and it will not split it. Thank you very much. Well, it's a little later and the glue is drying, or has dried, I think it's set. I just got a text message about getting my second AstraZeneca vaccination, so I've just come back from that. It's amazing. And it took about half an hour. Amazing, so I'm very pleased about that. Now it is time to stain it. With the aid of a nice brush, rather than the little rubbishy one I usually use for smaller items, this really does go on beautifully. Really nice. And it doesn't smell of anything. It's amazing stuff. Talking of amazingness, and this is what it is. There are Rustin's wood dye for interior and exterior. No affiliation. I'm using dark oak, and it really does give a very nice finish. It's water based, but it's got some sort of chemical formulation that means it doesn't bring up grain. Because otherwise, if you paint wood with water, all the grain swells up on the surface and it makes it really rough and unpleasant. But this doesn't. Right, I'll get this finished. Most enjoyable, especially as I say with a nice brush. Whilst the two wooden plaques are drying, I suddenly started remembering other bits I'd forgotten to order, and I very very pleased that I just rediscovered all these copious notes that I produced on every aspect of making a Barometric Prognosticator III, including, because I couldn't remember which one it was, things like the sensor, the infrared sensor that spots when the hour hand passes the top, so it knows to chime everything. Thrilled about that. So I'm ordering all sorts of bits and things, of extra bits have started arriving. There's a couple of the I2C integrated circuits to get the 5 LEDs working, the weather forecast LEDs. Well, I've never received these like this, the brilliant 5 volt PIR sensors. Yeah, lovely little things. First time, as I say, I haven't had them with the lenses on the front. They are brilliant for using with the Arduino or Raspberry Pi or whatever. You can set the sensitivity and the time delay and whether you want them re-triggerable. All this just so small and beautifully formed. And there are the lenses that just push over the top that turn the very small infrared sensor, PIR sensor, gets it to look around in lots of little spots, like a inverted mirror ball really. So that's great. As always, information on all this can be found on my website at steamhead.co.uk. And here they are, looking fabulous. They're still not quite dry, and I believe, having finally read the instructions, it said to leave them for 24 hours before buffing them up and polishing them a bit. So I'll do that. And I think it's time to make the first video of Barometric Prognosticator III manufacture, because otherwise I'm going to get completely carried away. It'll get all out of control. So thanks very much for watching. Hope to see you next time, when we'll start drilling holes and making other bits to fit on them. Oh, very exciting.